Our next public hearing, Mural Arts.
He looks around.
I know.
It's Joe.
Let us know when you are ready technically, and then we'll start our hearing. Okay. Great.
Okay.
Welcome, Mural Arts. You may state your name and proceed with your testimony.
Sure. My name is Jane Golden, and I'm the Executive Director of the City of Philadelphia Mural Arts Program. And with me is Joan Riley, our Chief Operating Officer. So, thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. Thank you to the many people who are here to support the arts. I'm like always really excited to testify in front of City Council, so thank you. And to testify today for the Class 100 and 200 allocations. We know that it's a challenging budget cycle, and in a year like this, you might wonder, why mural arts? Well, I can assure you that in the last year, thanks to the city's support, more voices were heard, more artists were engaged in creating beautiful public art, and more innovative strategies were put into action. In FY17, our broad trajectory of projects, partners, and education sites across the city engaged more than 25,000 people, and we completed 52 public art projects as well as 30 mural restorations. In FY18, we've already completed 65 public art projects and many, many more to come. But what is important to note is our work goes far beyond the paint. It's about bringing beauty to people's lives and also about representing every neighborhood and every community. It's about equity. It is about workforce development, health and wellness, building hope and resilience in communities, strengthening our schools, and providing opportunities for all. Just this year alone, we joyously completed the Latino Heroes mural on the site of Julio de Burgos. We commemorated the late firefighter, Lieutenant Joyce Craig. We painted the B Street Bridge by Gurney Street. And an inspiring tribute we did to African-American scientists at the Girls and Boys Club in Germantown. We did a moving portrait of Officer Wilson in West Philadelphia. We're now doing a portrait of Octavius Catto. And we are transforming the intersection of 29th and Ridge, and that is just a teeny bit of the portfolio. From the towpath of Manayunk to Bartram's Garden to Vernon Park, to the far northeast, to the work we do in South Philadelphia with Southeast by Southeast and now Trash Academy. In Point Breeze, Strawberry Mansion, Logan, North Square, and Tacony, you name it, our work is pulsing throughout the city. The murals are truly the autobiography of Philadelphia, reflecting our lives, our stories. And city support is critical to keeping these stories alive for residents and visitors who are hungry for them. And we know this for a fact, because just this year, 15,000 people have taken mural tours. People coming from all over the world to see the collection. We also manage an aging collection through our restorations program, and city support helps make that happen. It is critical. Though we may be small, we are mighty, and we are a tenacious engine for innovation. And our colleagues in city government, we find, often turn to us for us to bring new methods of problem solving to the table, and we always love that and welcome it. Our funders, in fact, regularly tell us that city support is a powerful incentive for their investment because it demonstrates our alignment with big picture strategies and it creates stability, which is so true. Our Porch Light program, our collaboration with the city's Department of Behavioral Health and Intellectual Disability Services, continues to evolve and grow, allowing us to have greater and more sustained impact around community health. In 2017, we expanded our hub-based practice. That's where we take over empty storefronts and turn them into wonderful community centers. We have a new Porch Light storefront in Kensington, which provides resources to an area fractured by addiction, crime, and housing insecurity. This storefront has become a community space where neighbors can create art and connect with resources to live better, healthier lives. We witness on a daily basis how individuals feel more empowered, more hopeful, and more connected to others. We see people move from the darkness to the light, and people from the community who feel traumatized just generally feel this is a safe and inspiring place to be. We are gratified to say that our art education program continues to serve over 2,000 young people throughout Philadelphia each year. Students in our program create public art, but they also become spokespeople, entrepreneurs, and change agents. They gain real-world experience, and most importantly, they find their public voice. In addition to offering after-school and summer programs, we are currently scaling up our integration model that merges math, science, and art. Over the next year, partners in the regional biotechnology industry will support our work integrating art into STEAM subjects, culminating in a new collection of artworks to be unveiled at the 2019 Bio International Convention, and all this underscores Philadelphia's role in the global economy. And what about our restorative justice program? Our guild is here today. That's our reentry program. They're awesome. In late 2017, we received a major grant for this work from the new Art for Justice Fund, from the Ford Foundation. It was so competitive, launching us onto a national stage. We will use these funds wisely to add a new cohort to the Guild, our paid apprenticeship program for formerly incarcerated people and young adults on probation. We are also starting a fellowship program for formerly incarcerated artists. We're doing a major public art project. We're wrapping something beautiful around MSB, and we're working with the city's MacArthur Foundation-supported Safety and Justice Challenge to bring down the county jail population. It is exciting to witness how men and women of the Guild are transformed by the opportunity to learn new skills and to beautify public space. Right now, many of them are working to transform the 29th and Ridge, and it is amazing to see the work they're doing. Our stats speak for themselves. 15% recidivism, 15%, compared to the state average of 35%. And 85% of our Guild members move on to employment. It is a program that is both pragmatic and aspirational. And as we pay attention to individual change, we also think about the civic life of our city and how Philadelphia fares as it relates to arts and culture. So this past fall, we were gratified to produce Monument Lab, a citywide exhibition that initiated a critical dialogue in Philadelphia and beyond about who gets represented in public space today, an issue being discussed around the country. In addition to presenting 20 prototype monuments created by a range of forward-thinking artists, We collected over 4,000 ideas from Philadelphians about monuments that they would like to see happen. Finally, we are equipped to help others learn from our experiences through the Mural Arts Institute, a new branch of our organization devoted to fostering innovation and providing capacity building around the country. We are excited to embark on our first multi-city initiative in 2018. In pursuit of the common good, Mural Arts is constantly evolving and building on the strong sense of community that defines our city. We hope that you take pride as our visionary supporters and collaborators in igniting this change, and we thank you deeply, deeply, deeply for helping us get to where we are now. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. And we are ready to answer any questions.
Well, let me start off by saying I don't think there's anybody who can warm up a room. It was a little chilly until you gave your testimony, right? It warms up a room like you do, Jane, with your enthusiasm. But it is all based on not just your commitment, but the programs that you have, the outcomes that you have really do work and change neighborhoods, revitalize neighborhoods. And you've, over the past 7 years, have made me become a believer. And in my previous role before entering the city council, we've always been a supporter of mural arts, and I know the building trades have always contributed, in-kind services and resources to help with some of these programs that cuts back on recidivism and, puts people to work and gives them second chances. So I thank you for that. Our neighbors thank you for that, right? Because we're, diverting some of the idle hands and putting in, the artistic and creative minds of adults and children to futures, all right? And Mural Arts is a direct connect to that. And speaking of, before I say more nice things, on page 5 of your testimony, you state that the recidivism rate is of the Guild of the reentry programs roughly around 15%. How much does the department save the city and state in terms of costs and lowering the recidivism rate?
That's a great question. I know that it's about $55,000 to have a person at Graterford Prison, and I know that our cost per participant would be a couple $1,000 probably. So I think it's a huge savings. It's investing in people. And I know that we brought a potential funder to visit with the Guild last week, and just to hear the men and women talk about the experience of learning skills, but also about putting skills to work in public spaces. I think that makes a huge difference. Everyone you see here today and beyond, because we're serving close to 100 people a year with this program, everybody's becoming like a community hero. That B Street Bridge, we couldn't have done it without the Guild. Recreation centers are transformed. We're not doing it without the Guild. And they can fly into action, as Councilman Dom knows, at a minute's notice. When someone calls and there's a problem in the city, we can address it quickly and efficiently.
Right, and I'm going to be working with Councilman Dom on a couple of things up in the Northeast. He just doesn't know it yet, but it's going to be awesome. Just as I had, discovered the library and the depth of its effect on people's lives. Mural Arts, you've been an incredible partner with me, for the past 7 years. One of the hubs is in Tacony, where there was a vacant storefront in the commercial quarter, two storefronts, where when the library was shut down for 2 years, we come up with a pilot concept of a satellite library. Instead of putting librarians and people who service our community somewhere else, or we kept them in the neighborhood, but we matched it in shared space with an artist in residence program that's open to the community, right, for adults and for children, and programs in public art. And public art isn't just a mural or a fresco, which we have, right, but it is conceptual designing and teaching people how art is in design and the flags and the quality of life of our neighborhood. All right, but they are all done by surveys from people of the community. All right, so your artwork not only reflected just the history of the community, but people's, personal attachment to the community that they live in or the community that they've chose to live in. And I think that it has no price tag to it. So, we have done a lot of work together. This Saturday, we have a big announcement about some things that we've planned. We're calling it the Mural Mile. All right, and we've selected, X amount. I'm not going to say it publicly because everybody want to do it. All right, but a certain amount of murals, within a mile. All right, to have a very strategic impact, but community input and private sector input. So for those who want murals, all right, the city doesn't fund it all. All right, because we keep mural arts, at harmless, when it comes to budgeting, or sometimes they decrease, the amount of funding. All right, but think every time they decrease the amount of funding, all right, they're decreasing, all right, or increasing the recidivism rate. All right, they're decreasing the quality of life in our neighborhoods, and they're decreasing the amount of partnerships, all right, that you're able to sustain over a period of time. So that's just my personal opinion and my personal experience on how pleasant it is to be a true sustainable partner with Mural Arts in every aspect. So we're doing a lot of good things together, and that's just me. I see it across the city of Philadelphia, and hope that you continue, all right, to do what you do, because I now know how to paint by numbers. All right, so.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate
the chair now recognizes Councilman Dunn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I look forward to working with you on whatever you're talking about. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
First of all, I just want to say I love Mural Arts, big supporter. You guys do a great job. I've actually witnessed everything you do, from taking those photos at 18th and Sansom. I just noticed my ugly pictures on your front of that magazine. I look horrible in there, but that's okay. But also, I saw what you did at the tunnel on Belgrade between Somerset and Lehigh, and how you coordinated everything for a shoestring of a budget. I don't know how you did it for $10,000, but you changed the environment of that whole area. And I think that's one of the biggest messages that you provide, is you come into neighborhoods and you change the environment, and you change how people feel about their environment. This was an environment under that area where there was mattresses and stoves and all kinds of trash constantly being dumped on Belgrade Street between Lehigh and Somerset. Once the mural went up, and CLIP has done a good job also in containing it. Let me give them a lot of credit. But once that Mural Arts occurred, you had people, I think, returning citizens do that work, which was pretty amazing. It's a piece of artwork, and for $10,000, I think it would cost to do it. It was an amazing, amazing, amazing job. Let me speak about the prison costs for a moment. The full prison budget with all fringe benefits is $370 million. We're at 5,600 prisoners right now. So it's $66,000 per person.
Wow.
If you take out the pension liability piece, which the city has no matter what, it's $320 million, which makes it about $57,000. But still, when you think about, I think this body would be very interested in expanding a program that included returning citizens, getting involved, and getting them out of the state road process there. So whatever, if you want to come back to us with another program that's $1 million or $2 million more, that demonstrates we're taking 50 or 100 people out of the process where it's costing us $60,000 a year, I think this, our council will be very, very, very Anyway, I just want to thank you for your work that you do. And
thank you.
I mean, besides the economics, it's changing people's lives, because I was there and watched them paint and saw how they were working, and it was tremendous. So thank you very much.
I also want to say we have a great program at Graterford Prison, and what's interesting is that we have, a lot of people are doing social justice work. We've been at Graterford and doing social justice work since 2002. So we are truly long-distance runners. And when we started working in Graterford, the men said, "You guys are tourists. You're going to come here, put it on your resume, get a grant, and never come back." And I'm like, do not say that. Mural Arts, we're a tenacious lot. So, and one of our participants there, Luis Gonzalez, he got out a few months ago. He was a juvenile lifer, and we've had the pleasure and privilege of being still in touch with Luis. He came by Mural Arts last week and talked so eloquently about the impact of that class on his life. So we continue also to work behind the walls and work with people coming home, because we realize we have to do it all. And with our art education program, while we work in many public schools and recreation centers, we also are at the Juvenile Justice Service Center at St. Gabriel's Hall. We realize there are a lot of young people in this city who have fallen through the cracks, and we want to be a safety net for them.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman Sanchez?
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Real quick, really want to thank you. I know that we have had quite some challenges, and I really appreciate the work that you've all done, your entire team. Thanks them all as we've worked around the Gurney Street project. And really thank you for helping to motivate the community in this process of trauma and the challenges that we face. It's hugely important, and thank you for not shying away from hard tasks, right? And the storefront project, everything that we've done there, and you know, there's a complexity of issues around homelessness and a bunch of other stuff, but you continue to provide some level of there's a rainbow at the end of all of this, and we can get through this whole process, and I really thank you. The wall ball is so much fun, and I want to thank you for recognizing both Joan, that we love, and Michelle Ortiz, who I am a fan of. You know, a couple of years ago, we really wanted to incorporate mural arts in the work that we were doing in Parks and Rec. So I wanted you to talk a little bit about some of the successful stories around that, and still some of the challenges, and where are you around the rebuild and us really incorporating mural arts and some of that work?
Sure. Well, I would say we love working with Park and Rec. We have a lot of respect for what they're doing, and of course their commissioner, Catherine Ott Lovell, was at Mural Arts for many years. So we have a good relationship with them. And I think that Feltonville was really a good example of, you know, an art, you know, Kala, the artist who transformed that space. It was just, it's stunning. You know, we got to see the work that was done there firsthand. And I like that the Guild is also smart about when they go into places, what are the other things that we could be working on? Like, oh, we see kids don't have cubbies, they're putting their backpacks on the floor, so let's build them. We see a fence that's falling apart, let's take care of that. So we feel like we want to be like an engine, like the go-to people, that you could call us and say, please take care of this. We know that wasn't in your initial scope, but what else can you do? Like, we like that. And I'm just going to speak on behalf of Delon, who runs the Guild.
I asked the guys if they were going to perform. I asked them if they were going to perform, and they said they were ready, but we're not going to put you on the spot. No.
But I would just add, when you call us, then it's not just fixing a problem in a community that deserves to be fixed. It's also providing the opportunity for job training, for capacity building, for resume building, and welcoming people back home when they have that opportunity to return to neighborhoods they may have families in and get to give back. And that day when they do that dedication and the Guild is out there and people are thanking them for the extraordinary work they did, you can't put a price tag on the difference that makes in one's ability to really come back home and take their place, you know, as, you know, finding employment and being a contributing member of society. So those inquiries, some people think we're just getting the fence fixed or a liability turned into an asset. It's doing so much more. That's why we believe we're like the front-end investment with the huge back-end return.
And then, Councilwoman, to answer your question about rebuild, we've been paying close attention. We were advised not to apply, and we thought this was good advice, to be a project user. But we've been visiting all the project users, telling everybody we would love to subcontract because this is our sweet spot. And I really feel in some ways we were rebuild before rebuild, right? We've been doing this for so many years, so we're ready and very excited about it.
Okay, so in terms of the project user world, you feel like everybody knew or was at least somewhat familiar about how involved you've been in some of the open public spaces?
Yeah, what's interesting is that we've gone to, there's still a few people on the list we haven't seen, but everyone we have visited, they're like, when can we start? They're like so eager to start working with us, so that's nice. They feel
and
like,
how about our current work on the traditional stuff? I mean, I feel like you, before Rebuild, I had my 10-year plan, so I've been working my 10-year plan. In the traditional work, how have you seen us be able to improve? I mean, obviously, you know, I incorporate you in whatever I can, but system-wide, do you see more infusion?
Opportunity to collaborate, you're saying? I think we're just limited by resources, right? So the more, because at the end of the day, it does take human capital and it takes some dollars. But we feel like we've got the human capital, we have the extraordinary artists, and the work, again, it's often a harbinger of other things to come, right? Rebuild, your 10-year plan needs much more than what the art can provide. But the art really engages the community. It brings hope and possibility. People have a sense of what's going to come next. So like the way we're seeing the robins come out in the spring, that's a big part of what we can be for the city. So we would actually welcome more opportunity.
We would welcome more opportunity.
More opportunity to work on the, particularly on the public buildings and in the public sector.
Right.
Yeah,
I think that's hugely important. And then lastly, I know that we've been talking about years around going back and doing some of the touch-up for some of the murals. How are you making out on that, going back and just, you know, what the stuff that, because that's the hard stuff. It's just like when we build affordable housing, when the 15 years are up and we have to reinvest and just kind of upgrade. How are you?
Well, I want to say, well, Kate Jacoby's here, who runs our restoration program, and we're very thankful to the city because we're able to route some of our city dollars into our restoration fund, because funders, the private sector, no one really wants to fund old stuff. Everybody wants something new. So I just want to, and I want to thank all of you so much, because without the city dollars, we would not be able to do this. But you know, if you're the Philadelphia Museum of Art, you're going to maintain your collection. And this is our outdoor museum, and it is of equal value. And so I just can't thank you enough. And that is, we eventually would love to have a cash reserve, but you know, Mural Arts is smallish. But I feel like we're absolutely tenacious, because we welcome when people give us feedback about a mural that is fading or this is going on, and we try to get out there right away. But we have a very good plan a year out now, what projects we're doing, what we're restoring.
Well, I think those landmarks are hugely important. I want to thank you, take this opportunity to thank you for the restoration of the mural in Spring Garden, right? As someone who lived in public housing in Spring Garden, it's not just a symbol. It really is about the history of the evolution of our city and the communities, whether they were isolated, segregated, and you know, and we have a different city now than we have then, and that's why the work we do has to be intentional about setting those landmarks so people don't forget who came through here, and why they're not there anymore, right? And the kind of the policy decisions around how we displace and recreate, right? And I think that's hugely important. And for that constituency, it was hugely important, and I'm glad that the developer saw that that was a win-win, right?
Yeah, exactly.
We don't always get that, but in that particular
I know, that was good. That was good. And I thought what happened in Norris Square is emblematic, was that at the senior center, people were like, don't touch our mural. I mean, we painted it like 30 years ago, but it meant so much. And we see that all over the city. First of all, there's the waiting list for people who want art, and then people love their works of art, and it's theirs. It really is. And so there's something that is so stirring about that. Right. And so we want to do everything we can to maintain, to grow, to make sure the collection is in tip-top shape.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councilwoman. 5 seconds. Just want to give me. Councilwoman Reynolds Brown.
Yes. I simply want to go on the record every year when I can to to lift you up and celebrate the important work that you do. I'm pleased to say I was a part of the agency before, what we now know as Mural Arts, and you've definitely reinvented its mission and kept up pace and actually gotten in front of challenges facing our community, broadening the net and casting the net wider to capture more young people. And then I would argue that you have not been, yes, you've been in it for the long run, but you've also been a leader in making sure that mural arts gets integrated throughout government. It's applaudable. We do expect and hope that mural arts will be a part of the Rebuild initiative for all of what you do anyway, okay? And for the, you say, and forgive me, Octavius Cato is pending where?
It's going to be at 15th and Christian. It's on the side of the Universal Charter School, and it's a beautiful wall. It's really big, and the design, I wish I had an image of it to show you. You'll absolutely come to the dedication. The two artists really mapped out his life, and it almost looks like a print, but then you see his portrait. And we've been doing workshops at the school, and so it's been highly educational,
I'm sure.
as well as it's going to it will be breathtaking.
I'm sure, and I'm sure Mayor Kenny will be ecstatic to know that. And then let me close for the record that this was one department where at least 10, 12 years ago, I raised the question of the diversity of your artists. So I want to thank you for doing the work and being intentional about making sure that artists of all cultures are reflected in the murals that we see around the city. It really does make a difference, and it matters.
Thank you. And what we're trying to do now, Councilwoman, is create some, and build on what we've done. And you have been very inspiring to me. I just want to say that. And thank you. And to have a sort of risk capital, like small grants, where we intentionally are recruiting women artists and artists of color. And also, we've been, and I really credit the staff for this, really thinking about curators of color as well. So the other day, we met with a young curator. She came in super dynamic, and I was like, oh, and showed me all these artists, had a portfolio, I think 30 artists, most of whom I didn't know them.
Wow.
And so it's really up to us to be continually vigilant and intentional. It's the kind of work, when you think about diversity, you never stop.
It's not going to happen organically.
That's right.
It's just not.
That's right.
It's not the nature of who we are.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you getting any funding from the Philadelphia Foundation?
From the Philadelphia Foundation, I don't. I think we do get.
We have historically.
We have historically received money from the Philadelphia
Foundation.
Foundation.
Let's talk offline about the Children's Fund.
Okay.
Because what you do falls under 2 of those 5 criteria from the Children's Fund, which you'll recall, which is one of the benefits and yields of the stadium negotiations year 2000.
Right.
Okay?
Got it. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you for your work and the work of your team. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Before I recognize Councilwoman Blackwell, I just want to state for the record, the city rep is scheduled at 1 o'clock. We're going to try to go right to her as soon as we're through here, even if it's a little before 1, because there's an event a lot of us need to get to at 2 o'clock, so we're hoping to get through the whole schedule today. Councilwoman Blackwell.
Thank you very much. I wanted to certainly thank Mural Arts too. I want to see them part of Rebuild, and I think each year we should make sure that we increase what they get, because they're always doing more. They're always helping everyone from students to ex-offenders to offenders. They're always doing all that they can to keep our city an exciting place, and I feel a special part of them since I've been there since they started. And we're just grateful to have them be a part of our city. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, and I'm very thrilled to say that this new project going on in your district on the library and is designed by an artist. We're going to bring this artist in, Akira Jones, who goes by the name Wale. He's a fashion designer. Our young people are redesigning school uniforms, and the mural's going on the Lucian Blackwell Library. And I saw the design, and it is beautiful. And this artist also did some of the fashions in the movie Black Panther. So what about that?
Wow.
Yeah.
So, you know, we want to provide a world-class opportunity in the arts for our young people. It should be just non-negotiable, right? The sky is the limit. That's what we want.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
Thank you.
And as we finish up, let me just say, Jane, I think you know, I want to second, third, and fourth everything that has been said. You're doing a great job there. I always like to give a sports analogy. You guys never strike out, you're batting 1,000, okay?
Thank you.
So good luck and continue. I'm glad your office is in my neighborhood too, so, okay?
You know,
Yeah,
two
Joan, yes.
things I'd just like to follow up on.
Sure.
The Caddo mural, you have an annual report, which we encourage you to read.
Mm-hmm.
It's not too lengthy, but quite powerful. And the Caddo mural is in the spring catalog. So if you look at the spring catalog, you can see that. And our staff has helped us know that we spend about $4,000 to $5,000 per person in the guild when you put all the overhead infrastructure costs, stipends, instructors, versus $66,000. So for a few $1,000s, we have a person in the guild. For $66,000, we have a person incarcerated. We think we're the better investment. And I know the guild agrees.
Okay. Thank you all very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Okay.